we're gonna close the restaurant. And then we're gonna reopen as a Jamaican jerk spot. And I want you to design a rum program. And I was like, oh, I'd not worked with rum at all. Hey everybody, my name's Shannon Mustipher. I'm a Brooklyn-based spirits educator, cocktail consultant, and the author of Tiki Modern tropical cocktails. I'm also the founder and host of Women Who Tiki. I was working at this restaurant, Gladys, when it was in its original incarnation as a new American restaurant. As the months went by, I was just kind of looking at the state of the bar and saw that it was kind of adrift, didn't really have an identity. And I just didn't think it would be cool to just let it be that way. So I called a meeting with the owner. So we sit down and he's like, we're gonna close the restaurant. And I'm like, and then we're gonna reopen as a Jamaican jerk spot with a rum bar. And I want you to design a rum program. And I was like, oh, okay, sounds great. And meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself, what? I have no idea where to start. I had 30 days to do it. And so I was there every day for 30 days. I tasted upwards of 250 rums. It was quite the experience. But I was really kind of pleasantly surprised by first the variety of rums and also the level of quality in rums that, again, I'd not encountered. And I thought that a lot of our guests, a lot of consumers in general, and even bartenders are still not really hip to what rum can be about. The precursor to cocktails in general, or mixed drinks as we know them today, was punch. And punch was based on rum, initially on Batavia Arrack, which is a cane spirit from Southeast Asia. But as exploration, colonization moved from Southeast Asia over to the Caribbean and the Americans, obviously they're going to be mixing with what they have readily available, in this case, rum. Barbados rum punch. That was served at George Washington's inauguration. Early iterations of the mint julep were based on rum and then eventually were replaced by rye and bourbon. Then as drink trends changed, there's a preference for lighter styles such as gin. And then that's when you start to see lighter rum. I realized that if I wanted to show the complexity and the range of rum in general, then tiki cocktails offered the best template for that, because you have drinks that have 2 or 3 rums, multiple ingredients, things of that nature. That really shows that, like, if a spirit is a really good one, it's going to be able to stand up and express itself in a complex serve. I would argue that tiki cocktails are the most culinary approach to cocktails that I've seen on the planet. Original tiki bars were staged in semi-tropical locations, and they staffed themselves with individuals who from Philippines or Asia, and they had their knowledge of mixing tropical juices. The appearance of the drinks may make them look a little playful or maybe even silly or campy, but the approach to building them is culinary. So Garnett has lived in the neighborhood and owned businesses in Brooklyn for well over 20 years, and was one of my regulars at Gladys, and, you know, loved her painkillers and was always super fun to hang out with.
I met Shannon, I met you when you were curating Gladys' menu. And that's when I tasted your cocktails and I was like, oh my God, who is this girl? So then when I decided it was time for me to open up my own bar after bartending for 15, 16 years and working in small businesses, I was like, there's no way I'm opening up a bar in Brooklyn and Shannon's not involved in the entire startup of everything. Shannon was involved in everything from the syrups, the preps, the juices, the selections. Shannon literally is a major part of what made this kickoff so successfully. She's that black girl magic that you want to have in your bar if you're opening up a bar and serving rum.
I got hooked on the Mai Tai. It required a blend of a couple different rums, so it would take some discernment to find the best rums to end up with the best result. A dark rum is not a dark rum, it's not a dark rum. A gold rum is not a gold rum. Like, you gotta look at, where the rum is coming from. Is it made from fresh juice? Is it made from molasses? Does it have a long fermentation? And then you have a pretty good sense of what to expect before we even start talking about age. I love Jamaican rums. I think they have a lot of character. Everything from wild aromatic notes in the nose. Sometimes they have this kind of like green, rubbery mouthfeel. They can be a little spicy depending on how they're aged. You could just spend a lifetime exploring and learning and tasting, and you'll never run out of things to discover. Before the pandemic, she let me know that she was working on a project and, she was asking me to help her out with it. And it was hard to commit because I was like in and out of town, doing brand work, consulting. And one day she literally just like grabbed me. You had the gall to literally snatch me off the street.
Yes.
In January 2029, Shannon.
Yes.
I need you to work for me.
I was in Chabella's.
Yeah.
And I seen you, I was like, Shannon. And I ran down the street and you were like, yo, I'm like, listen.
We have to do this. And then we had an impromptu meeting and sat down and agreed to work together. And that was the beginning of our working together here at Rogers Garden.
You know what I got her too? I just gave her a check. I was like, here's the money. What does it cost to start? I wrote her a check right there and then I was like, I know if I give this to you, you're locked in. Whatever she brings to the table, I know like she's worth it. If you walk into Fendi, I mean, you can negotiate their prices. I'm not gonna negotiate her prices. I've been to bars from St. Lucia, Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, you name it. There is nothing like getting off the plane and that Caribbean air just like, oh my God. First thing I say is, let me get a rum punch. Let me get your brand. I want your island's beer, your island's rum. I want your cocktail. And that first sip is like, okay, it's vacation time. People come in here and actually say to me like, oh my God, I feel like I'm home. I want you to forget you're in Brooklyn because it doesn't look like that in here. One thing about all the bars, it's the energy, it's the music, it's the colors, it's the rum.
I'm gonna show you Kill Devil Reef. This is an exciting and dangerous voyage through treacherous waters. Proceed with caution here, as the flavors will not tip you off to how potent this drink is. It's inspired by the zombie and the rum punch, which is kind of like the foundation for the zombie. Now, what made the zombie notorious is that it uses a couple rums, but the objective is to kind of strip down the recipe, make it a little easier to pull off at home, and also kind of give you a taste of the three aspects of Caribbean rums that I find exciting. So we're going to start off with the basic elements, the sweet and the sour. Now, it's important when you're making cocktails of any kind to A, use fresh juice, and to B, mix your sweet and your sour before you add the spirits. If you make a mistake, you don't have to toss out the booze. So let's start with the foundation. 3/4 ounce of fresh lime juice, 1/2 ounce of honey. It's honey syrup. It's just 1 and 1 honey and water. Note, I'm kind of light on that because I'm going to be a bit heavy on the next ingredient, which is 1 ounce of passion fruit juice. Now, this is going to add not sweetness as you may imagine. In fact, I think it just kind of adds a little more floral note to the drink and keeps it on the drier end of the spectrum, which is where I love to be. Now next, the magic that's going to tie it all together is pimento dram. So some of you may know it as allspice liqueur, and you can find different versions of it, some of it non-alcoholic, some of it based on Jamaica rum, as is this one. I think Jamaica rum base is the best. Think of it as like a tropical triple sec, but because we're using a hot still, high ester, floral and aromatic rum as a base, the spices that go in here, allspice or pimento, and then some cinnamon and clove, really get amplified by that base spirit. I want to do 1/2 ounce. So think of this as a type of triple sec and maybe a dash of bitters. It's time for the rum. First, I'm going to start with 2 ounces of an aged Demerara rum. Demerara River Valley is famed for having this ability to impart this kind of chewy grittiness to the sugarcane, and the rums that they make from it don't taste like any other rums from around the world. And from this backbone, we're going to get restrained berry fruits, a little bit of a floral aroma, and a long, earthy, kind of gravelly finish. Next, some rum agricole blanc. Only going to use half an ounce. Now, because it is made from a fresh pressed juice, you do get to experience those funky fruit notes that are associated with the area where this rum is produced, in this case, Martinique, which is interspersed with banana fields, pineapple plantations among the cane. And you'll notice some of those aromas in the rum agricole. Mind you, some of them are even a little saline if it happens to come from cane that comes from the Atlantic-facing side of the ocean, for you nerds out there. Last but not least, my favorite part, the crown jewel here is going to be a pot still Jamaica rum. Now, these rums are amazing because they do a longer fermentation on this, and it goes into a single batch distillation, which means that the end product has a lot of deep natural flavors, wild funky fruits, and even a little bit of spice. That's half an ounce. Now the fun part. We're going to shake it up. I like to say, shake it till you wake it. Then I'm going to top with ice. I'm going to add a generous mint bouquet. That's going to accent the vegetal notes in the agricole and the Jamaica rum. Bit of pineapple. And then the last element, these are cinnamon sticks that have been soaked in an overproof rum. I'm going to let that burn for a little bit. Get that nice toasty element on the stick. I'm just going to gently waft it out. And you're ready to set sail. Kill Devil Reef. Initially, when I opened up Gladys, I didn't want to run tiki drinks because A, it's not, it's a Caribbean concept, and I didn't want to be disingenuous and just kind of slap this on top of what we were already doing. Over the last few years, you've seen people question whether using the words tiki or imagery associated with Polynesian culture is appropriate in, our modern bar settings. In the wake of the Great Depression and, as we're coming off of World War II, people just they're like, I just want to chill, man. I think about what the initial offering was about, a relaxing, fun time and over-the-top environment with all these wild colors and things that make you feel like you're traveling. So one, escape from the bleak reminders of, what's going on here in post-war America. I just say, don't use religious iconography. Don't use things that maybe don't belong to your culture, but I think design elements and color palettes and things of that nature are a good way to evoke, somewhere kind of far away and mysterious.
The music plays a big part of that too. We do a lot of live bands, Brazilian bands, Haitian bands, Trinidadian bands, and the music, the grill that's going, the rum that's flowing, it just takes you away.
There's an adage among old school bartenders. We don't serve drinks, we serve people, right? And part of your service, I think, is bringing a community together in a space where they can meet and interact and enjoy and build that vibe, inspired by the Caribbean experience, but also by just a local energy as well.
The locals and the community, we go through shit in life. I want to be able to go to my local bar and my local bar is open. I don't want to open door and go, what do you mean you're closed today? You cannot rent this bar. There's doctors who come here. I hear their stories and the nurses, children that they've lost in the medical room. It's just a lot. There's lawyers, there's people who are going through divorces. It's just so much that goes on. My community, we need this. We need to just, you don't know what we're going through. Every single art panel here, from inside to outside. It was the day of one of the Black Lives Matter marches that was huge. And a good friend, an Emmy Award-winning friend of mine, Mike Perry, I was like, Mike, listen, I need to get art in here. He's like, I have a great idea, Jane. He literally called all these artists and everyone came and they're like, well, what do you want us to paint? And I was like, whatever you do, just nothing that's bad talking. Any color, race, police. Just express how you feel. And if you walk around and see like we are tired, you know, like don't sweat the small stuff and freedom and Black Lives Matters and you're a vibe. And you can see like if you walk around what they were feeling, what they were experiencing that day. So this will never change because they all were going through something during their protests and their marches. So it's special to me.
What I've always loved about seeing what's happening here is that it's a garden.
Yeah.
It's not just a literal garden in regards to plants and it being cute, but it's a garden for growing people, for growing businesses, for growing talent.
Yeah. I'm really big on my staff feeling like they are entrepreneurs within this. Like they create their own cocktails now. I taste it, I go listen on rotation. I let them talk about their cocktails to customers and they feel like they're a part of this. I like that. I mean, I even have security guards who are like, you know, doing event nights now. So it feels good.
I just knew that you were sincere about creating a great bar and a great community experience here. And that was proven from day one. Like when we opened, you know, 2-hour wait, line wrapped around the corner, people were going nuts. And now we're 2 years later and people are still
going nuts
all over the Rogers Gardens.
When I thought I was gonna fail because it opened in the pandemic, Shannon was like, you know, most bars, their first day is not like this garden.
I never had any doubts regarding what you would be able to accomplish here.
I did.
And of course, that's natural, that's healthy, but I was like, girl, you got this. You know, here we are. Look, you've done all kinds of improvements to the property. It's evolved over time. The drink menu is always evolving. You got some top guns behind the bar.
Like Shannon has like just graced so many of the most influential bars in Brooklyn. I'm just happy to be amongst her, you know?
Apparently, I can't stay away from the bar.
No, I love it.
With that being said, cheers, my dear.
Cheers, my dear.